Hello, my name is Kevin and welcome to the Love Decanter channel. So yeah, it's been almost a month since I was at the Glass and Ceramics Fair at Cranmore Park, and yeah, I went on holiday and I need to have film when I was on holiday. These films are quite time consuming to do, so I had to produce a load of other films. So I'm back from a holiday, so I'm getting on and doing these. There's going to be a lot of them. So before I get going though, I've got a couple of apologies to make. First, for some weird reason, whilst I was filming on the Fileman stand, it did everything in portrait. I don't know why, it just did it. It's an SLR, maybe it was trying to be clever because a lot of the glass was very portraity. I don't know. It just technology, you know. And the other thing, there's a lot of background noise because, believe it or not, there was a lot of background noise, and that's the way it is. So anyway, with that said, let's get on and have a look at some nice glass. So here I am at Cranmore Park at the Glass and Ceramics Fair. Yeah, so I've not had a look around at all. It's going to be fun. I'm in for the early opening, and yeah, it's going to be great. Look, I'll do a proper look around, but it's a big place, so yeah, I'm really looking forward. So this is the fair, Cranmore Park. You see, it's not very crowded yet because it's the 9 o'clock opening and it's just opened, and some people are still setting up a bit. But yeah, this is going to go on for a long time, and it'll get crowded after 10 o'clock. So I'm going to have a quick wander around to see if there's anything that I can grab before anybody else does. So let's see how this goes. Antiques stand. This is the first stand I'm going to do here because I love their glass so much. And look at this. This is French. It's got 1840. Look at the quality of this here. That is fantastic. It's like rock crystal. But look at this cutting all the way, cutting within cutting here. It's really nice. And check the base for wear. It's quite heavy. So that's got good when it has this stuff with it. See that? Look at that. That's great. Got here really nice pair of 1870 bottle-shaped decanters with the written stoppers, and he's got a pair, so that really changes the value. And they're really cool. And these tall ones are not common because they get knocked over so easily. Is it focusing? There we go. The book I have here is Andy McConnell's The Decanter Ancient to Modern, and there's a section for Richardson's. Now, I'm not saying that those decanters were by Richardson's, but we've got some with features that are the same. We've got a step cut one here. This is a bottle shaped one. We've got some panel cut ones here and here. These are all panel cut ones. So the one we were looking at was like step cut from there and then panel cut from there. You've got some spire stoppers. This is more shaped a bit like what we were looking at. Now, where there's a deviation between what Feynman says and what Andy McConnell is saying, all of these are dating sort of like he's got 1835 right through to about 1845 on these. So, yeah, those decanters might be earlier, might be later. I don't know what reference Fileman used. I'm not even sure what reference. He has got references down here, so I'd have to work my way through them. One of them is V&A. So yeah, that would be a good reference, but actually that's for a very different decanter. So I don't know. My feeling is the panel cutting and the step cutting are usually earlier, so I would go with that. Sticking with Fileman's here, Got a lovely, what is it, 1810, that looks about right to me. But what's nice about this is a step away from the usual. The comb cutting is really fine. Then you've got counterbalanced, and then you've got some flat cut diamonds, panel cut neck. This is a step away, and what makes it even more of a step away is that over here is its pear. I thought rather than pull up a book reference, I would show you what makes those decanters special. So what I've got here is a decanter, exactly the same timeline, same shape, same type. It's called a shoulder decanter, so it's like straight up and then in, like that. If it was a bit more bulbous, you'd call it Prussian shaped, but this is a shouldered one. Those were shouldered ones. And so all this has got is got comb cutting here, little panels cut on the shoulders, and that is the standard. You don't very often see them this kind of size with less cutting, or usually if they've got less cutting they're earlier. But anyway, so the ones we were looking at, it had a ball in the stem of the stopper. Then the panel cutting was from the shoulder here up, and it ran into the first bit of the neck. And then also it had a band of shallow diamonds here, which you don't normally see on this type of decanter. And then it had comb cutting counterbalancing the base comb cutting, which you don't normally see either. So yeah, it has that little, those little bits uplift it. And when they used to make these kinds of things, you'd have this one as the standard, it would be the cheapest, and then they would offer extra features. Most people didn't really go for that. One of the things to remember at the time, glass was taxed by weight, and it was at the mouth of the furnace. So whatever glass you cut off, you'd pay tax on that. So yeah, it's cutting a lot of the glass off is actually throwing value away in it, of the material away. So cutting tends to be shallow. Also, it was not steam powered, so it was hard to cut deep into things because you were basically usually cutting with a foot powered treadle. Anyway, so I just thought I'd show you that this is like the base standard. The one we're looking at were very fancy decanters. Nice bucket rummer here.
Oh, did you click on view all?
With the frosted freeze around. So this is before Richardson's had their process for doing this. So this would be difficult to do when it was done. And what makes this even better is obviously he's got a pair. He's got a single one here, but you can see it's got a cartouche here in the middle, there, and it's got a panel cut stem, whereas these ones don't. So I thought I'd show you something else from my collection. I know this looks tiny, but there is a reason for that. So yeah, it's because it is tiny. Now this glass is a little bucket bowl with another etched band. This one hasn't got the crisscrosses, it's got vesica and diamond. It does have the little panel cut stem. This doesn't have comb cutting, it's little panels. So yeah, now what I have to go with that is this. So yeah, look at this. So this is what services would be like. So you would also get tumblers that would go with those glasses that you were seeing. You'd have big glasses, small glasses, tumblers, and also decanters. Oh, I haven't zoomed out far enough. Have I zoomed out? No. Anyway, you can see the decanter, there it is.
Sorry, I didn't get far enough away. I'm not going to do it again. Anyway, so this decanter, you can see, has the same pattern as this and this. What's funny is down the shed somewhere I have another one of these decanters with the same crisscross pattern, and it's really unusual in some ways, this decanter. See how the stopper is? It's a bullseye stopper, which you think, yeah, that's standard. But look how fat that is. That is made for that. It's a really weird one. Condiment pot here. Can't see a label for it. This will probably be sort of like 1810, 1820s, maybe 30s at the latest. It's got a bit of step cutting around the top. And obviously this is Farmland Antique, so yeah, he's got a pair for it. Check out the jug up here, pedestal jug. Yeah, another obviously step cutting above and below to balance it out. Lots of decanters had that kind of pattern like that. This one's really nice. The book I'm looking at here is Irish Glass by Phelps Warren, and there are a couple of things here that are similar. I mean, superficially this is similar. The date he's got on here is 1810, but a lot of the cutting is not the same. But if you look at this one, the shape is not that close, but you've got step cutting all the way down here. You've got hobnails, but what you've got is this little interesting side vertical step cutting here. Yeah, right next to where the handle is, like we were looking at. And also you have a similar thing on these two, which are shape wise they're nothing similar, but you've got the step cutting, the hobnails, and then where the handle comes down, again the little panel of vertical cutting there, just like we're looking. And both of these are dated 1820 to 1830. They're both Irish because this is Irish glass, but I don't know, I've not seen anything like, I mean, shape wise that's similar, but it's not. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I would go with Anglo-Irish. I can't remember what it said on there, but anyway, yeah, it's a good jug. Really rare, really unusual. It's book worthy in here. So yeah. Got a lovely pair of panel cut decanters. We've got the original solid ball stoppers with cutting on, and if you look at the top is cut with a star on it to match. It's actually got quite an intensely cut star in the base, so that goes together. And to make it even better, it's not a pair, it's with a claret jug, matching claret jug, so it's part of the set. That is really rare. I've never actually seen one of those before. These panel cut decanters that we're just looking at there, they are a type. I don't know who makes them. I don't even think they've got a specific name, but they are a type. There's slight variations on them. The ones we were looking at, I have a few of them, but I picked this one out because it's about the same size as what we were looking at, and the body is very similar. What they have though is the stoppers are usually rounder. They're sort of like trying to be a mushroom, but not sometimes. Solid, always solid, not blown. And yeah, mine doesn't have a star cut base like the ones we were looking at, but then the ones we were looking at had ribs to go with it, but they always have this kind of stopper. Quite often the stoppers are missing. I think usually they've got quite thin pegs. Look at that peg, is really, I think because this is a heavy stopper, they take quite a bit of a beating is the answer. Let me show you, let me drag something else out. So yeah, this one here. So that's like of the same kind. Similar panels and everything, but it's not quite the same. But then again, the stopper is just like trying to be a bit more like a ball, but not. But it's still a very solid. Oh, it won't focus. There we go. Very solid stopper by comparison. And I said they always seem to have a long, thin peg, and the pegs are always rough cut like this. So you can see this one is worn where it sits inside the decanter, and because of that it's super solid, yeah, because it's worn in over time, so there's no give in it at all. Anyway, I just thought I would share that with you because these are a kind, and very frequently have the wrong stopper, so they're always solid. If it is a mushroom, it's usually a thicker one. Some of them are even like pointed, or it's like this solid ball with panels cut on it, or like theirs with where it had a star cut base and it had then effectively the same star cut but round the ball. Anyway, so I just thought I'd share that with you, so because these are a type, they're not very common, but they're quite nice. I've got a pair of Regency Irish tumblers here. It's got one here and the other one's here. Now, the thing about early tumblers like this is that they're very rare because they're such a practical thing. In fact, I think they got used to oblivion. So I don't have much in the way of very early tumblers because they're so hard to find. Even really plain ones are just not squeaking onto the market because if it's a plain tumbler, used to oblivion. So what was I talking about used to oblivion there? So there's probably more with fancy engravings around than there are plain ones like this one here. Okay, so I think this is from about 1800, 1810, maybe 20, something like that. So yeah, this is over 200 years old. And when you look at it like this, it looks fairly, yeah, it looks like it's all complete, in good shape. And it's kind of, but let's see if I can get this to focus. Look at this rim. Will it focus on that? Will it focus on that rim? Yeah, can you see there's like, I don't know, it's like people's teeth rubbing on it over the years have completely kind of scratched out the surface of the rim, so it's not a smooth surface anymore. Look at the base, look at the wear on that base, and it's also, so it's where it's touching the table, but also just here where it might rub against anything it's against. And I don't know if I can show it really, but you can see little things showing up on the surface of it, little scratches and stuff. Yeah, it's just covered. So it was I didn't pay anything for that. It was just a lucky find. I just picked it up and went, this is lots of tumblers that kind of look like this, but you get a feel for what's early and what's not, and this is early. Just, you know, you just have to look at that. And the way the pontil's done in the base, and just the way it feels, you know, the way the edge feels is kind of very handmade. Yeah. And it's copying decanters like, let me pull something off the shelf. You know, with this kind of, this is a slightly earlier decanter, but you see this is what it's copying, goes with this kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I mean. Plain little decanter, and even tumbler, even those ones, by today's standards, someone looking at them without knowing that they're looking at an old piece of glass might think they were just like, you know, 20, 30, 40 years old. It's only by knowing the look and feel of glass that you go, oh, that's a really early piece. And it's the only way you can find out is by going to fairs like these and having a good look, having a really good look. But anyway, yeah, this is what I mean by used to oblivion. This is so heavily used. Just the whole surface is scratched. The rim is where people's teeth have been touching it. The base is, and at some point it's probably been used you know, thousands and thousands of times, and at some point, ka-chink, and that's the end of it. And this was probably part of a big service at one point. This book is Irish Glass by Dudley Westropp, and the reason we're looking at this book, and these rumours are not the same as we were looking at, is that this is the last book I've looked at. I can't find anything like those rumours in any of my books. So, in any of my Irish books anyway. So, been out of luck there really. Doesn't mean they're not Irish. They do look period. The step cutting underneath, very unusual. But it is from the right period they're talking about. The fan cutting, that is an Irish feature, but it's usually out on the rim. But then it wouldn't make sense to be on a rummer, because then you would have a fan cut rim that you wouldn't be able to drink out of. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They're very, very high class dealer. I imagine they source. I've got things that are Irish. I know they're Irish because I bought them from Ireland, and yeah, they know their sources, I think. So it has got fan cutting. They are period, so I'm going to have to accept, even though I can't find any references. But then I've not seen anything quite like them either, so they are off the edge of what's normal.
He's brought some really beautiful and rare early glasses here. I've got like a mid 18th century goblet. This is called a light baluster because it's got. Let me show you something different. Okay. You see this one here in the back and this one here. These are heavy balusters. And then when you see like a little knots like this one here, that is a light baluster. And this is a light baluster too. And this is somewhere in between. Look at the lovely little bubble inclusions in the ball knot there in the middle.
So this book is 18th century English drinking glasses by L.M. Bickerton. Now, I'm not going to dive in and pick out individual pieces here. I'm just going to give you an idea of the kind of thing I'm talking. So this is the heavy balusters, and they're starting from about 1700, and you'll see they're kind of very chunky blobs on the stems. Okay. Yeah, there's quite a bit of material in these stems. Now, he just calls them balusters. I call them light balusters. It doesn't matter. There's the chunky ones and the non-chunky ones, okay? And these are always a bit later, so he's got like 1730 on these. So you can see you've got, and then sometimes you have multiple blobs like these ones. Can you see, like just like what we were looking at with bubbles in 1740? So you kind of got that cut off where you've got the heavier ones, which are more actually late 17th century through to the early 18th century, and then sort of like from the second quarter of the 18th century you start to get these slimmer profile stems like this, but we're still with the bobbles in. Some people, I think I've seen them also called Newcastle. I don't know what that specifically is, but also heavy and light balusters as well. But he's just saying heavy and balusters. So there you go. I didn't want to dive into the specifics, but I just wanted to give you that different look of the time periods and how the fashion changed.
This is a really nice glass here, nice early one. It's got a Gudrun bowl there. Can you see those little ripples around the bottom half of the bowl? And it's got a sort of upside down acorn knot, that's called. And then, or inverted, I suppose you could say, inverted acorn knot. And then it's got a folded foot, yes, and it's got a folded foot too. That is really quite nice. This is described mead glass.
So I'm sticking with 18th century English drinking glasses by Ellen Bickerton. And I found a glass here that's very close to the one we were looking at. This one here. You can see it's got a very chunky inverted baluster with a round knob at the base, folded foot, then you've got the rounded bowl with the gadrooning around the base, just like we saw. And yeah, so this is in their heavy balustroids because this ball here is quite chunky. And 1710, which is exactly the date that they had on theirs. And I imagine they're using this book as the reference because this is the Bible of this.
So this heavy baluster here, this is a classic early glass collector's kind of glass. He's got 1710 on it as a date. I suspect it will match up with what's in Bickerton. It's got, look at the folded foot, you can see the fold goes right halfway up the foot there. Yeah, that is a very classic glass. I suspect it's a classic price because, yeah, very desirable.
Sticking with Ellen Bickerton, we have a couple of glasses that are very close to the one we're looking at. This one here is dated 1700, but it doesn't have the thick bottom base with the bubble in it. This one does, but it's got an extra knob at the bottom, so it has that bubble there and the drop in there. This one does, but it also has the domed foot, so that's different. Over the page, we've got this one here, but it only has a drop here. It also has a baluster at the knob at the bottom, no bubble here. You see where I'm going? This one is probably the closest, I think. So it's got an elongated bubble in the bottom of the bowl, and another bubble here. It's the other way around. One we were looking at, there's a round bubble there and an elongated bubble here, but he's got 1700 on that one. So yeah, that gives you, they're all either dated 1700 or 1710, so that's the dates you should be looking at really for that glass.
So there you have it, end of part one. There will be loads more parts. I haven't even finished with Fileman Antiques yet. Yeah, it's still portrait. After I left Fileman and started filming elsewhere, everything went back to landscape. So yeah, it is what it is, but there is going to be quite a bit more of the old stuff from Fileman, stuff I like. And yeah, so all of the references and stuff that I used will be in the description below. I will also give you the contact details for Fileman Antiques and the contact details for Premier Fairs, because they organise their fairs, and I know there's going to be another glass fair later this year, I think in September, at the end of September. And what else? Yes, please remember to like and subscribe. So thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this. There will be more from the Glass and Ceramics Fair. Good night.